What's up guys, Mr. Basie here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a commentary that actually isn't about a specific topic, addressing Halo. It's more along the lines of why I like Halo better than Call of Duty. And the reason I want to bring this video to you is because I do, mention Call of Duty. I mention, Counter-Strike a lot. In my videos, whether they be examples of different things about those games, or whether I'm just mentioning them on the offhand. But the reason I want to do this is because I don't want it to seem like I'm, saying that Call of Duty is a bad game or that Counter-Strike's a bad game or anything like that. I like to take, a more objective look at it and try to apply some of the positive things about those games, the things that those games have going for them, and apply them, to Halo. Not really try to copy them, but to try to implement some of the positive things about that game, which again we've seen recently with Halo Reach and Halo 4, and games that have introduced Sprint and have been continuously working on Sprint to make it a more smooth application within the game. But I tend to want to focus on those things because those are the things that people nowadays really enjoy. And again, I've said this before in my other commentary as well. We're all here to have fun. Even though some of us may be more competitive than others, when it comes right down to it, we play games to have fun. We might play them for different beneficial, things like profit or whatever for some people, that use the game for a form of revenue generation. But it really wouldn't be, a great time if the game wasn't fun or if you didn't enjoy what you were doing. So that's kind of the baseline I want to establish before I talk about why I like Halo better than Call of Duty and things like that. So don't take my words negatively. Just kind of understand the attributes that I'm going to mention about Halo and why I like those better. But don't think that I'm saying that Call of Duty in any way is a bad game. For those of you that like both Call of Duty and Halo, or for those of you that truly do like Call of Duty. So my first point is the consistency of the game. And what I mean by that is that it takes a very, I wouldn't say a lot of bullets, because for a futuristic game I think it's quite reasonable, but you have to be very consistent with your shots. It does take more bullets to kill people in in a Halo game rather than a Call of Duty game. When you consider Call of Duty taking, 3 or 4 bullets, maybe 5 bullets at different ranges and whatnot, that's fine and dandy because, that's what the game's about. But, and you do have to be consistent to a certain degree. But with Halo, especially with things like the BR and the DMR, you have to think of how consistent you need to be, specifically with the BR. Now, again, I'm not hating on the DMR in any way for those of you that, don't want to take my words out of context. But the BR, you have to hit every single round in your burst for it to be a full tick of damage. I've said this multiple times, just in case some of you out there really don't know, or maybe you've had a misunderstanding or a misconception about the weapon. But with that particular gun, that's why the BR is a bit harder to master than some of the other precision rifles in Halo, because it requires a lot of consistency, and that really doesn't come with basically practicing a lot, of course, would be the one thing, but just general game knowledge, understanding the game. Again, practicing is the biggest thing here, but there are other attributes that come into it. It's all about your overall game knowledge. The skill gap, or whatever it's called, the skill it's the learning curve. That's the word I'm looking for. The learning curve is very significant when it comes to Halo, whereas in Call of Duty I feel it's easier to pick it up. Again, I'm not saying anything bad about it. Matter of fact, it's probably better that it's easy to pick up on very quickly, because of the fact that, again, the popularity is going to be much greater in a game like that over a game like Halo. But again, this is why I like Halo better. And I gotta be honest, the reason I like Halo better is because of that increased learning curve. That is why. I don't like Call of Duty as much because over the course of time, I started with Call of Duty, okay? I started with COD 4, and I've been playing ever since. Basically, I've played every single Call of Duty that has come out since COD 4. And so if you think about it, that's a very long time. I've been playing Halo equally as long, probably even longer if you consider some aspects, because I did play Halo 2 and things like that, and Call of Duty 4 wasn't out at that time, if I'm not mistaken. So, Call of Duty doesn't really have as significant of a learning curve, and because of the fact that I played it for so long, naturally I got pretty darn good at it. Now, I'm not boasting in any way, but I did get fairly good at Call of Duty. And I owe a large part of that to Halo because of the consistency that Halo requires. It kind of did steady my shot a little bit better and made me very, much more calm and things like that, because in Halo you really have to calm down, focus on your battle, not really focus on a bunch of other things. You really need to calm down and not let your nerves get to you in Halo, because that really will mess you up in both your strafing, your teamwork, your callouts, and especially your shots. So when it comes down to it, there's a lot more factors that kind of add to the skill set, to add to what you need to have to play the game at a highly competitive or even a successful level, to be very good at the game. And that's what really attracts me to Halo, is that it does require a very heavy knowledge of the game. You can't just jump right into it and put a couple rounds into someone and kill them. Generally speaking, if you're new to Halo, you're probably not going to be, dropping crazy amounts of kills in a game. You might get some reasonable kills, because Halo isn't just terribly hard, like going from Call of Duty to Gears of War. Gears of War having an extremely high learning curve, or Counter-Strike arguably having the highest learning curve of all of those games, because bullets don't even go straight in that game if you don't know what you're doing. So that's kind of what I mean. The learning curve of the game is very significant, and that's what attracts me to it, because over the course of time, like I said, I've gotten very good at Call of Duty, and it's just become something that I wouldn't say is easy, but it's definitely, for me, easier than Halo. Okay, the game in itself is not easy, especially when you play at highly competitive levels. It definitely does get pretty intense, and again, it's the same thing. You have to know the game, you have to know your routes, you have to have a very consistent shot and all that thing. But I feel like in terms of the overall knowledge of what you need to know for the games, both of those games side by side, at least for me, Halo definitely has more of that. The scales are tipped in Halo's courtyard when you consider the amount of things you need to know and how consistent you really need to be with your overall skill level and gameplay. So hopefully that doesn't kind of confuse people into, because I do like Call of Duty, don't get me wrong, but over the course of time I've just sided with Halo because of the fact that in my mind it takes a little bit more skill to play, because of the overall things that you need to know, the learning curve that is associated with that game, and the amount of practice you really need to lay into that game to be consistently good at it over a very, over an extended period of time. Because you can get pretty good at Halo, but if you stop playing for a bit, you're probably going to be, you're going to need to warm up a decent amount, and the longer you're away, the longer that's going to take. Maybe a couple days, maybe a week, who knows? It depends on who you are, you know what I mean? So that's why I like the game. That's why Halo has a special place in my heart, because I'm a very competitive person. I like games that are highly competitive, and when it comes right down to it, aside from Counter-Strike, which is on a different platform, for console, it's all about Halo for me in terms of FPS. I love it. I probably will never, even if the game gets extremely bad, I will never like it better than Call of Duty. I might play Call of Duty a little bit from time to time, or even more so in other times than Halo, but when it comes to console, Halo is my baby. So I hope that this didn't anger some of you guys out there, because I know that a lot of you are Call of Duty fans out there, and I'm sure some Call of Duty fans clicked on this video just out of pure curiosity. So I hope it doesn't offend you guys too much, because it is my one singular opinion, and I guess take it with a grain of salt, because not everybody feels that way. That's just my personal feeling towards the game, and really has nothing to do with factual things. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Rate the video what you think it deserved, and if you'd like to become a Sage in training, make sure you subscribe today. This has been Mr. Bazy, your favorite Sage, and as always guys, I'll see you in the next video.